Chosen one, pause. Not in a second, not after this text, right now. Put the other tabs away. Let the noise around you fade for a moment. Because what I am about to uncover about you is the kind of thing that made even heaven go quiet. What I saw in the Spirit concerning you, it made me sit in stillness for a long time before I could even shape these words. You did something recently, and I'm not talking about a post you curated, a move you strategized, or a decision you made to look good in front of people. I'm talking about a natural reaction that came straight from your core. A raw response that rose up from who you truly are when nobody was clapping, nobody was watching, and nobody was there to validate you. You didn't realize it, but that one response hit the spiritual realm like a thunderclap. Your attitude left God silent, not because he didn't know you were capable, but because you stepped into a level even heaven wasn't expecting you to reach in this season. And when it happened, Archangel Michael, the commander of heavenly armies, the one who has led battles against ancient darkness, stopped what he was doing and turned his focus toward one single human soul. Yours. Because what you demonstrated doesn't line up with what you've been through. It doesn't match the weight you've been carrying. It doesn't make sense next to the betrayals, the losses, the disappointments that could have twisted you into somebody completely different. But you didn't react how your pain expected you to. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on all notifications. Because what I'm about to reveal about the exact moment heaven froze to watch you will permanently shift the way you see your hardships, your tears, your private choices, and every battle you fought in silence. Stay with me until the very end. I'm going to tell you what exact attitude you showed that stunned the heavens, why Archangel Michael personally requested to review your case, and what this divine reaction means for the next chapter of your life. If lately you felt like you quietly crossed a line inside yourself, like you are no longer who you used to be, drop 777 in the comments. Because what I'm about to explain is going to make everything click. Let's start here. In the unseen realms, your life is not random. There are countless souls being watched, guided, and recorded at every moment. Guardian angels assigned, watchers positioned, messengers observing the way humans respond to the pressures of life. Most of what they see is painfully predictable. Hurt people passing hurt along, wounded hearts choosing revenge, offended spirits clinging to bitterness, those treated unfairly answering with the same unfairness they received. This has been the default pattern of humanity for generations. But every now and then, very rarely, a soul does something that breaks the pattern. It's like a flare going up in the middle of a dark battlefield, a frequency so unusual it sends a quiet shockwave through the heavenly realms. You did that. And it wasn't years ago. It was recent, very recent. It happened in one of your most intense moments lately, when you felt targeted, when the pressure seemed calculated to crush you, when the weight on your mind and heart felt heavier than what any human should have to carry alone. Anyone looking from the outside would have understood if you snapped, shut down, lashed out, or walked away from everything. People around you, even if they didn't say it out loud, would have validated your anger, your distance, your bitterness. But you didn't do what your pain told you to do. Listen carefully. I'm not talking about you making it through or simply not giving up. Millions of people drag themselves through life out of stubbornness, fear, or having no better option. That doesn't shock the heavens. What you did was on an entirely different level. Someone or something genuinely wronged you, not imagined hurt. Not oversensitivity, real violation, real disrespect, real betrayal. You had every human right to collapse into anger, to choose hate, to close your heart and never open it again. And yet, in that very moment, when your emotions were loudest, when your mind was rehearsing every comeback, every clapback, every cold move you could make, something inside you overruled all of that. You chose honor when revenge would have made more sense. You chose restraint when you had enough information to destroy someone. You chose to hold your tongue when you could have spoken words that would have cut deep. You chose to protect someone's dignity even though they didn't protect yours. You chose to stay soft-hearted when a hardened heart would have been the easier option. There was a moment, and you know exactly what moment I'm talking about if you sit still and remember, where you could have matched their darkness, and you didn't. That is when everything shifted. In that instant, heaven saw something in you that is extremely rare, proof that your identity is not controlled by what happens to you. You showed that your character isn't negotiable, that your soul isn't up for sale to your emotions, that your truth doesn't bend just because life has been unfair. That kind of response is in short supply on this planet. Most people are mirrors. They give back whatever they receive, treat them with love, they're loving, mistreat them, they become cruel or distant. Their entire personality moves with the mood of the room. But you didn't mirror, you anchored. You showed that there is something inside you fixed, rooted, and unshakable. A standard that doesn't change when circumstances do. This is exactly the kind of thing that heaven notices. Let me pull back the curtain on what happened next. Your guardian angel had already been monitoring your situation. Every tear, every thought, every choice, not just what you did, but why you did it, was being carefully recorded. This is normal protocol for souls under special assignment. But the moment you chose grace over justified retaliation, your guardian angel did something not normal. They didn't just write it down and move on. They escalated it. Your case was pushed up the chain. Straight into archangel-level review. This is not common. Most souls never get that kind of attention during a lifetime, not because they aren't loved, but because their choices don't break beyond the usual patterns. Yours did. When this report reached Archangel Michael, he was engaged in what he usually handles, coordinating high-level spiritual warfare, dealing with ancient systems of darkness that span generations, strategizing protection over regions, bloodlines, and destinies. However, when your file appeared, there was a note attached that stopped him. It said, this one displayed battlefield forgiveness while still under active fire. Battlefield forgiveness. Let me break that down. In spiritual warfare, responses to pain are classified. Expected responses, bitterness, withdrawal, blame, cynicism; toxic responses, vengeance, sabotage, cruelty; neutral responses, emotional numbness, apathy, avoidance. These are so common they hardly need special attention. But there is a rare category called counterattack of light. This is when a human, while still bleeding, chooses to bless, while still being misunderstood, chooses to stay honest, while still being rejected, refuses to reject themselves or others. When they answer a curse with a blessing in real time, not years later. That is so rare that heaven has an automatic alert for it. You triggered that alert. Michael went through your record, not just the single incident, your entire recent season. He watched scene by scene, times when you encouraged someone while your own heart was breaking. Moments when you chose not to gossip, even though you were sitting on facts that could have made you feel powerful. Late nights when you could have gone back to old habits to numb the pain, but instead you sat with the discomfort and chose growth. Days when you were exhausted and still showed up for responsibilities no one thanked you for. And he realized something. That moment of grace wasn't an accident. It was an expression of a pattern you've been building quietly for a long time. You have been choosing the harder right over the easier wrong again and again. Without applause, without proof that it would pay off, often feeling like nobody sees you and nothing is changing. He saw it. And because of what he saw, he requested something extraordinary. A direct audience to discuss your case at the highest spiritual level. Understand what this means. Archangel Michael doesn't casually step away from global-level battles to discuss a single human life, unless that life is carrying a weight of purpose that impacts many others. He brought your record before the Divine Council, not as a problem that needed fixing, but as an example. He replayed your moment of grace. He opened your internal dialogue. He laid out your temptations, your justified anger, your unseen wounds. And then contrasted all of that with the choice you made. And then he did something else. He showed your history. Times you forgave without apology, times you gave secretly with no intention of being noticed, times you told the truth when lying would have been easier, times you stayed loyal when betrayal would have protected you from further pain. Taken separately, each of these moments looked small. Together, they formed a pattern powerful enough to get heaven's full attention. Then, in that sacred space, a verdict was spoken. Not in the kind of audible voice you'd hear with human ears, but through a divine, knowing that every being present understood clearly. Concerning you, this was communicated. This one reminds me of why I breathed life into humanity. Let that sink into the deepest part of you. The same mind that imagined galaxies, that designed oceans, stars, forests, and dimensions beyond what science can measure, looked at your inner choices and said, "This is what I had in mind when I created them." Because you did something even angels cannot do. Angels live in awareness of glory. They see what you can't see. They operate in a realm where God's presence is constant, undeniable, and overwhelmingly real. Their obedience, while beautiful, is fueled by direct experience. You, on the other hand, move through shadows. You believe without seeing. You love without guarantees. You choose integrity with no instant reward. You extend grace when everything in your body screams that it's unsafe to stay soft. You honored light while standing in the dark. You trusted goodness while everything in front of you said, "Stop trying." You loved while your heart was bleeding. This is what made heaven fall quiet. This is what made Michael study your soul with awe. You displayed the one thing only humans can demonstrate: faithful love in the absence of proof. Now listen carefully, because this part matters. Even Michael didn't expect you to reach this level this soon. When your life was first reviewed, he saw your gifts, your calling, your spiritual potential. His strategic projection assumed you'd grow into this kind of maturity after more victories you could see, after more mentoring, support, or teaching, after seasons where you were clearly protected and blessed. He did not expect you to choose this kind of grace. In the middle of your hardest valley, with the least external encouragement, and the most internal pressure, you outpaced every projection on your timeline. That simple, hidden choice you made? It wasn't just the moral high ground, it was a brutal blow to darkness. Let me explain the spiritual mechanics. Whenever darkness targets a chosen one, there's a goal to drag them down to its frequency. If they can provoke you into responding from hate, bitterness, pride, or revenge, you step off the path of divine covering and onto their territory. That's been the aim behind so many of your attacks. Get you so tired you compromise. Get you so disappointed you harden. get you so angry you become what hurt you. But when you chose grace in real time, you did something like spiritual jujitsu. You took what they sent and flipped it. Because in the laws of the Spirit, negative energy sent to a soul that stays aligned with love and truth cannot stick. It ricochets, and it returns to its sender magnified. You didn't cuss them out, you didn't drag their name, you didn't curse them in your heart, so the curse they tried to attach to you had nowhere to land. It had to go back. Michael watched this happen with something close to amazement, because you weren't following a manual, you weren't quoting strategies, you were simply flowing from who you truly are. Gracious, resilient, loving, dangerous to darkness. This is what impressed him. He knew the blueprint written over you. He knew what you could become. He just didn't expect you to start walking in that level of authority so early, with so much stacked against you. Now I'm going to help you recognize that all of this is already playing out in your physical world. You've seen signs. You may not have connected them yet. First evidence. Attacks against you have been mysteriously backfiring. Think back over the last weeks and months. People who spoke against you, individuals who tried to block you, discredit you, or quietly sabotage your steps. Those who sent envy, evil eye, or subtle curses in your direction. Now look at what's been happening to them. Projects crumbling, plans falling through, sudden complications, doors closing that they thought were secure. It may have even confused you, because you weren't actively fighting them. You were just living, healing, trying to move forward. This is not random. This is not ordinary karma. This is your new spiritual status. When God takes personal delight in a soul, the shield around that life intensifies. Attacks don't just fail, they reverse. Second evidence. You've had pockets of peace that make no sense. Logically, you should have broken down by now. The level of pressure, uncertainty, and emotional exhaustion you've felt would have crushed someone else. And yet, in the middle of all of it, you've had these strange moments where your spirit feels steady. Not because everything is okay, but because something in you just knows you're held. You've surprised yourself with how calm you stayed in situations. That used to trigger you badly. That is not you getting used to suffering. That is imported peace, a direct byproduct of heaven's upgraded attention on your life. Third evidence. Your clarity has been increasing. Where you used to be paralyzed by overthinking, you're starting to sense what's right more quickly. Suddenly, you just know who is for you and who is not. You feel when a door is not your door even before it slams shut. You receive answers in the form of inner knowing, random confirmations, or coincidences that line up too perfectly. This is not random intuition. This is your access to divine wisdom being quietly upgraded. Information is being dropped into your spirit through ideas, impressions, and gentle inner nudges that keep proving accurate. Fourth evidence. The wrong people are quietly exiting your life. Connections that drained you, belittled you, or distracted you have been dissolving. Some ghosted you, some picked fights, some just faded out. At first it hurt, it confused you, you questioned your worth. But this is spiritual housekeeping. Your new assignment requires a cleaner environment. Heaven is removing those who can't go where you're headed, not as punishment to them, but as protection for you. Don't chase what God is evacuating from your story. Fifth evidence. You can feel something big approaching. You've had this subtle inner countdown, like you're standing in the hallway between who you were and who you're becoming. You can't fully explain it, you just feel something is about to break. That's not delusion, that's your spirit picking up on decisions already made about your future. Let me tell you what those decisions are. When God expressed what he felt about your soul, when he said you reminded him of his original dream for humanity, a specific protocol was triggered over your life: accelerated fulfillment. Normally, chosen ones grow through long seasons, years of preparation, slow breakthroughs, gradual lifting. But accelerated fulfillment means this: heaven has decided that your character has matured faster than expected, that your unseen obedience has already proven enough, that extended delay is no longer necessary to protect you from success. So schedules are being shifted. Blessings that were marked for later are being moved forward. Opportunities you thought would come someday are arriving sooner. Conversations, connections, and resources are aligning quicker than the usual pace. You may already be sensing this in small ways. Emails, calls, or messages coming out of nowhere. Long stuck areas suddenly moving. Old prayers being answered seemingly out of season. That's acceleration. And it's only the start. But it's not just blessings. Opposition is also being restructured. Some enemies are being reassigned away from your path. Some blockages are being permanently dismantled. Certain types of attacks are no longer being permitted around you. You're entering a window of unusual favor, not because you performed perfectly, but because your heart posture under pressure proved you can be trusted with more. Now, hear this clearly. This isn't just about you having an easier life. When heaven invests this level of focus in someone, it's for impact. You are being positioned, not pampered. You are being entrusted with influence, not just comfort. The grace you showed in your dark moments is not just a medal on your chest, it's a tool in your hand. Because in the days ahead, you're going to cross paths with people standing exactly where you once stood, on the verge of hardening their heart, on the edge of giving up, right at the fork between bitterness and breakthrough. And you won't have to preach at them. Just by being who you now are, you will radiate permission to choose light. Your story, your energy, your presence will say, it is possible to come through this without becoming what hurt you. Your journey will awaken courage in others who are barely hanging on. This is one of the reasons heaven leaned in so close to watch you. Because your transformation isn't just about your destiny, it's about the destinies tied to you. Now let me share how you are officially known in the records of heaven. Every soul that reaches Archangel level review receives a classification, a code that describes their spiritual identity and function. Yours has been recorded as Proven Bearer of Radiant Justice. Let's break that down. Proven. Not theoretical, not potential, not maybe one day. You have already demonstrated your capacity under real pressure. Bearer, you carry something. You don't just talk about goodness and fairness, you host it in your being. You walk into rooms with an atmosphere around you. Radiant. Your justice doesn't come from vengeance, it shines from love, truth, and purity of intention. You don't fight darkness by becoming dark, you outshine it. Justice, not petty revenge, but alignment with what is right in God's eyes. Protecting the vulnerable. Honoring what is true. Refusing to profit from someone else's pain. This is how heaven refers to you now. This is how assignments are tailored to you. This is the lens through which your journey is now viewed. Souls with this classification move differently. Your prayers are given priority because they don't flow from selfishness. Your needs are addressed with urgency because your life impacts many. Your battles are taken seriously because your victory unlocks victory for others. For those of you who want to consciously step into operating as a proven bearer of radiant justice, there are resources linked in the description and pinned comment. that go deeper than this video can, including audio and guided practice to help you stabilize in this new identity. Now, there is one more piece I need to deliver. It's sensitive. It's personal. When your case was finalized, when protocols for accelerated fulfillment were activated, a special note was added to your record from the Divine Council. Not every soul gets this. It is reserved for those whose journey becomes a pattern worth studying and remembering. This is what was written to you, to the one hearing these words. Your response to suffering has been recorded as living proof that human hearts can reach higher frequencies than we once expected, while still confined to physical form. You have shown that limitation is not built into your design, but often chosen under pressure. You chose differently. In doing so, you expanded what is believed possible for your kind. Your file is now marked for focused observation, not for correction, but for reference. Your journey will inform how future assignments are given to other chosen ones facing similar trials. You will be trusted with environments where healing and justice are desperately needed. These will not be punishments, but honors. We are not testing to see if you will fail, but continuing to showcase what you have already proven capable of. Know this: you have brought joy to the one who formed you. Walk forward knowing that nothing approaching your life comes without passing through the recognition of who you have shown yourself to be. You didn't just survive your storm, you changed the data about what humans can do in a storm. This message found you on purpose. You were not supposed to hear this years ago. You were meant to hear it now, when you're wondering if any of your quiet choices mattered. Now, when you're tired of doing right with so little visible reward. Now, when you're questioning if heaven has forgotten your name. It hasn't. Your attitude stunned God. Archangel Michael read your file with admiration. The Divine Council documented your responses as evidence. Your future has already been recalibrated to match what you have demonstrated. You didn't know eyes were on you when you chose not to clap back. You didn't know heaven was taking notes when you forgave without closure. You didn't know that a single moment of choosing grace over bitterness would unleash this level of attention. And that's exactly what makes it so powerful. You weren't performing, you were just being who you really are, when nobody was applauding, and who you really are. Left the Creator of everything beautifully speechless. If this spoke straight into the part of you that nobody sees. If you recognize yourself as that chosen one, write 777 in the comments to agree with this frequency of recognition. Subscribe and turn on all notifications to receive more revelations about how heaven has been tracking your journey, upgrading your protection, and orchestrating breakthroughs you haven't even imagined yet. Share this video with someone whose silent battles deserve to be acknowledged, someone who needs to know that their private victories are recorded and will be rewarded. And before you go, click the video appearing on your screen right now to discover how your identity as a proven bearer of radiant justice activates specific angelic assignments that are already moving ahead of you, around you, and in your favor. Together, we rise.